I think everyone is going to love this episode this week. We have Dani Boyd on the podcast. She's a designer out of LA. For the first 10, 15 minutes, she gives her back history, her upbringing from Brazil, how she got to LA, which is kind of a funny story, how she met her husband. From there, we go through really remote design, customer value points, psychology. We go through really a full gambit of what you should be doing in your business, what she does in her business, and the things that have worked out and what she's planning on doing in the future. So really cool episode. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Hope you like it. And here we go. All right. So today we have Dani Boyd on the AIS podcast. So Dani Boyd, she's an interior designer, originally from Brazil, where she got her architectural license, and really a unique design model that she has great style, great taste. Some things I love about Dani and her business: super genuine, super down to earth. She's passionate about helping people. She's here for all the right reasons. Has a very versatile business model where she can do remote design, and she also has some VIP access for some of her clients that she offers, as well as in-person design. She envisions, executes really functional, timeless designs in all of her projects. Like I said, award-winning designs. So we're really happy to have you here, and just give us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get going.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. Thank you so much. Can I write it down and put in my bio or something?
I'll send you my intro.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you.
Of course.
Honestly, I lost all the words I had. Thank you so much for the very nice introduction. And yes, I'm Dani. What did you ask me? How I started with design and all of that, right?
Yeah, so I'm really interested about architecture in Brazil, how you got licensed there, and then how you made that transition to the States, and just kind of give us your 10,000-foot view story.
Okay, yeah. So this all started when I was 9 years old, to be very honest with you. It goes back, way back when. My parents used to move a lot because of my dad's work. And we moved back to the town that I was actually born when I was 9 years old. And when we moved back, we had to move into my grandma's house, which is the house that my mom grew up. And, we're a family of 5 moving into my grandma's house. It was her and my grandpa. And there were 3 bedrooms. And I'm like, this is not working, Mom. I'm just telling my mom all the time, why is this wall right here? It shouldn't be here. The door, can we open the door right here? And 9 years old, okay? And so I was always very, just not satisfied with the space that I was living. There was something wrong with it. I wanted to solve it. And on top of that, my grandma was redoing her front yard, and there was a lot of tile scraps of all shapes and sizes. And I decided, so just so you can understand, I'm from Brazil, from the north part of Brazil, in a town called Belém. We're in the middle of the Amazon. It's a 30-minute flight to the equator. So it's hot and it rains every single day. Every day there will be rain coming from the sky somehow, somewhere, some time of the day. So we had a lot of mud in the front yard. And what we would do, we would go play in the front yard in the mud with the tile scraps. And I started to design the house that I wanted to design. I would be like, Mom, so let's put this wall. So this wall here this is the kitchen wall. What if we move it this way and then we put another wall right here? And I started to sketch that all up also. And my dad, he comes to me and he's like, what are you doing? I'm just changing the house around. I had many, many sketches of that. And my mom still has them actually in Brazil. And then he was like, oh, that's cool. Okay. So you're playing architect. I'm like, wait, what? At 8 years old, my dad he works with plans, and my mom is an art teacher. So I never actually understood the concept of architecture. And he explained to me what it was. And I was like, oh, okay. I like this idea. And that's when I decided that I wanted to be an architect when I grew up. many things happened from there into high school. At some point of my life, I decided that I actually wanted to be a doctor. And because my uncle, who was a doctor and had a medical, like a little hospital, he said to me, so like to get to college in Brazil, you have to take this absurdly hard test that like tests everything that you know about, like that you learned through school. And then if you pass the test and there are enough spots in the college you want to go to, you go to college. And to become a doctor, so the medicine school is the most difficult one, most difficult one that you can think of. And my uncle, knowing that I was a nerd and I love a challenge, he was like, okay, if you pass to become a doctor, I'll give you a brand new car. To a girl in the Amazon that, you know, was playing in mud, and I barely had money for you know, the bus tickets, the bus ride, wherever I wanted to go, like even to school. That sounded amazing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to study this whole year. So my last year of high school, I studied really hard to pass into medical school. I didn't, of course, because I'm not that smart, I think. And then, you know, and then I was like, what am I doing? I don't want to fix people. I want to fix places.
You will be a doctor of homes.
Yes, I want to be a doctor of homes. I want to solve problems, not of people. I love people. But yeah, I love people when they're having a good time, not like a bad time. So yeah, so then I did the test again to pass through architecture. And I did a 5-year bachelor's degree in architecture and urban design. So on the paper, I'm also an urban designer.
Nice.
And in Brazil, it worked a little different because at least when I went to school, which was 21 years ago, when I started, it's a little different because, so like here in California, after you graduate architecture, you have to work X amount of hours and then do the testing, et cetera, to get your license. In Brazil, you do that working during school. So you have to have X amount of hours working with this type of architecture or that type of urban design or whatever it is. And then when you graduate and the board feels like you're good to go, you get your architecture license. So I did that. I started working with architecture and design actually in, oh my gosh, it was my second semester of college. When did I go to college? 2004, 3. I don't know, Ryan. Sometime, like a long time ago.
In the 2000s.
Yeah, in the 2000s. Not in the 1900s. Already in the 2000s. And yeah, so I had many types of jobs, many types of internships. And it was funny for me because every single time I would start an internship, I always felt like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. And they would actually make you do the stuff. So for the first internship that I had, it was actually a furniture store where we would do custom furniture. So like everything you can imagine, but especially cabinetry, of course, kitchen and bath. And in Brazil, we do a lot of custom cabinetry for living rooms and bedrooms as well. So I did a lot of that. And, you know, like I'm there like, okay, 18, 19-year-old me, you know, first time working on this thing. And they would actually send you to the job site to talk to the client and measure it all up and then, you know, come up with the design. Of course, there was someone, an architect above me that would revise everything with me, but it was like the whole creative process I was able to be a part of. And I'm very thankful for that from the get-go, you know, from first time. I also internship in other types of architecture, studios and firms, big and small. I also did a really cool internship, and that one, you know, you don't make a lot of money with it. It's pretty cool, which was working with historical places. My hometown is super old. It's 400 and, oh my gosh. Please, people from Belém, don't kill me, but I forget how old our hometown is. It's like 455 years old, like super old. So we have a lot of historical palaces and homes, and you know the tiles that we see, the like Zelige, and you know the all those beautiful tiles with like drawings and things like that. We have that from 400 years ago in town. So I worked a bit with that, restoring those palaces and understanding the history behind it. And my last job was the job that I envisioned myself working on since I was a little girl, since I was 9 years old. So I worked with this architect called Gabriele Vieira. She is this amazing person that I'm still in touch with. And she did remodels and new builds and restaurants and all the things from start to finish, from permits to candle on the counter. And to me, that was like, dude, this is amazing. Oh my gosh. I was able to be part of her creative process a little bit here and there, but most of all, execute the project in AutoCAD and you know, like make sure the presentation was perfect for her to present to the clients. I was able to watch some meetings and be there. And that was amazing. When I graduated, I was still working with her, worked with her for 2 years. And she offered me to, you know, she wanted to hire me as an architect, you know, go under her wings and continue the business. But I'm in Belém, in the Amazon, far away from everything, and it rains a lot. And I don't like the rain very much, and it's super hot there. So I'm like, okay, this feels really good, but I want to move somewhere else. So I applied for a couple master's programs in the country, and I passed, I applied to 2, and I was selected in both of them. And both of them were related to civil, how do I put this? Okay. They were related to construction and management in construction. Okay. So it was this, like, in my mind, you know, the whole time that I was in college, I learned a lot about the creative process and, you know, how to make it look amazing and, you know, how to solve people's problems. But I thought that I had to make this, I had to learn a little more about how to actually execute the project, to actually do what you guys do, you know, like put one thing on top of the other and build the place. So I applied for that because, again, it works a little different in Brazil. That's something that the civil engineer does. What the general contractor does here in America is generally something that the civil engineer does in Brazil. And I was very interested in that. So, yeah, so I went ahead and passed in both of them. I went to the one that was farther from my hometown. So, like, all the way to the south, almost in Argentina. I lived there for 2 years. And we developed a research in... actually, like it didn't have a lot to do with construction, but it did somehow. But it was a research in client satisfaction. So we analyzed, super important. We analyzed how people were satisfied with the space that was provided to them. And then finished that, and, you know, wrap it all up, moved to São Paulo. And when I was in São Paulo, I was working in the architecture studio, doing, again, a lot of custom furniture and custom things in interior design. And I met my husband. So nice. This lovely guy from California.
What was he doing over there?
I'm sorry?
What was he doing?
Oh, he wasn't that okay. So that's another story. Did I talk about it?
Well, so he was down where you were working, right? In South
Yeah,
America?
kind of, sort of. Okay, let me rewind this. Okay.
Okay.
So my husband went to Brazil several times before we met, and he was friends with all of my friends. Like seriously, all of my friends. I remember him, but we were never introduced to each other. So one day when I was finishing my bachelor's, I needed to translate something for my what is it called? My thesis. And then I reached out to his sister, which was friends with me somehow on MySpace. I'm like, okay, she's friends with all of these Brazilian people. She knows Portuguese. So I'm like, hey, I need help translating this. Because, back then Google wasn't this force that we have these days. And she's like, well, I don't speak Portuguese, but my brother does. Here is his contact information. So I reached out to him. Back then, he had a girlfriend. I had a boyfriend. We were like, okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Well, okay. You're friends with so-and-so. Cool. Okay. And then life goes on. And eventually, I break up with my boyfriend. He breaks up with his girlfriend. And
stars align.
Stars align. And we start talking again. I know that was like December. He reached out to me because one of his favorite bands was going to play in the town I was living. So he was like, hey, why don't you go to this concert here? I'll pay for your ticket. To this day, he has never paid for the ticket. I just wanted to clarify this.
For the record. Okay. Noted.
But I did go to the concert, really liked it. And that was like November, December, January, February, March. He calls me. I got tickets. I'm going to Brazil. I'm like, no, dude, no. You're not coming. This is crazy. I'm not going to do a long distance relationship. All I know is that he got to Brazil in June, and we saw each other at the airport, and that was it, right? And like, that was it. 7 months later, we were married. And because he went to Brazil, this is a good story because I'm going to tell you how I got here, right? It was because of the husband. He went to Brazil and he was there for 2 months. And I'm like, okay, you're telling me all of these things about California and your family. What if this is all a lie? I'm very suspicious. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go visit your family. So we came back together to California. I quit my job. I need to make, because I was going to be here for a whole month. I just started in this new job. I couldn't just leave it for a whole month. And came to California August 10th, 2009. I was supposed to go home September 23rd. September 13th, he takes me to Yosemite. We climbed the Half Dome and he proposes. So then I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's okay. I guess we are engaged. And then immediately, like at the same time, we're like, okay, but how are we going to do this? Because I don't have money to be flying back and forth from Brazil. It's expensive. And he wasn't on the good. It was right when the economy crashed. Remember that? 2009. Yeah. So I decided to stay. We booked a wedding for January so my parents could get their visas and come here for the wedding. And that's how I arrived in California officially.
And here you are.
Yes.
Because when I first got introduced to you, I believe you were in Modesto for a little while, and then you were down in LA as well. So and I remember, because I swung by and I actually picked up some tiles from you that we used on a project. Yeah. And you gave me the warning, like, don't orientate these in a certain way. I still remember that.
Yeah. So we got married. Okay. Yeah. You have to be very careful.
Yeah. Those were dangerous tiles. Yeah.
So we lived in Modesto from 2010 all the way to 2018. And while I was there, my first job was in construction. So I worked in a general contractor firm for a year.
Okay.
Where I was, I was a project engineer. Bless your heart, if you have a project engineer, give them candy, give them all the good things, because it's hard work, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's no joke. Were you doing public work? Civil,
yes.
Public? Okay.
Yeah, public work. So we were doing a lot of, I don't remember right now, but it was like multi-million projects.
Yeah, large scale developments and
Fresno, Visalia, Bay Area, all over. And the amount of management that you guys do is incredible. It's people think that it's like, oh, call the general contractor. Here's the project. Well, here's what I want to do. And then like you guys have to have a north. And sometimes we would get projects that were not complete enough. And that's like a lot of back and forth. Change orders. Oh, this doesn't work. Oh, this is out of stock. And, all of that. And that was very interesting to me to learn the behind the scenes, the behind of what I was seeing as an architect,
Yeah.
And especially in another country. Because
and really so that kind of ties into some stuff I want to talk about, because I view designers as really the problem solver, because they address what needs to happen before anything is ever broken ground, before the project is in pre-construction, usually before a final contract signed. Like, design is there, and your design team is really problem solving behind the scenes of what can actually be done in the construction process.
Yes. And so it was very, and remember, like I said, I really wanted to learn more of that behind the scenes, the construction part of it, the management of it. And that's why I pursued education in it. But then when I was able to work on the other side, so like architects, designers are on this side, and work on the other side, it was very interesting to me to see where the problem was, see how important it is to have a very precise project, how important it is to have it all selected beforehand, because it expedites the timeline of the project. It's not like we're trying to gather information from here to there and make decisions on the go. And sometimes, that's nerve-wracking. And then schedule for the painter will be pushed back because this is not decided yet, So that was very interesting to me. And that was a very good learning experience.
I bet. And then,
yeah, for sure. I'm telling you, it was very hard, very difficult, because first of all, I had to learn this imperial system, those inches and yards and feet. This is hard, man. I still don't know why you guys don't divide everything by 10. It's so much easier.
Yeah. I mean, I could see both sides of that. I mean, I grew up, feet, inches, not too many meters were being calculated, but I do think, like, when you talk about the issues behind the scenes and seeing what happens, really on the construction side, I kind of view ourselves as just really big event coordinators. There's everything has to happen in a certain way and in a certain process, the flow of construction. And it's kind of universal on any new construction project, but it is a lot to manage. So, I mean, props to you for living in that world and being on the other side of it too. I'm sure you have a great, perception of the full design build process.
Yeah, that was super eye-opening and a great experience. And then I moved on and started working with an architecture firm in Modesto. It's called TPH Architects. And we did, again, a lot of big projects, like car dealerships, office spaces, schools, a lot of fire stations and things like that. So then, I was always very careful with the projects and careful with the information because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want this to be,
it's public safety now. Yeah.
Yes. Like, okay, general contractor, let's work together. Here's everything spelled out. And again, that was very good for me. And I had an incredible boss, this man, like Tim Huff. If you ever work with him, tell him Dani said hi. Because he is an amazing man, such a good teacher, such a good mentor.
You're the second person that's told me that.
Really? About Tim?
Yeah.
Oh, because he is fantastic. He had the patience to, okay, so here's this guy who's been working with architecture for 30 years. And he had the patience to tell me that in America, we fold, the 24 by 36. Uh-huh. We fold it different from Brazil. He was like, oh, no, Dani, this is how we fold it. I'm like, oh, you're so amazing. Yeah, so last day, when I told him that I was going to quit and start my own business, I cried in his office so much because I didn't want to stop working with him. So that's how amazing he is. So then eventually, I was working at TPH Architects and I started my own business at the same time while having a baby. So like wild life.
That's a lot. Yeah.
I don't even like to think about it because I know like 2 gray hair will grow in my head immediately. And then I started my business. And in Modesto, I was having a great time. And I want to say I was thriving. And I was, just having so much fun designing and bringing a different approach, I want to say, to the city, to the overall aesthetics of projects. I have a South American background. I went to school there. So my education was a little different. Because we're from South America, we're from Brazil. It's a country that is not as developed as the USA. So we have certain priorities that when it comes to designing a space, when it comes to architecture and to design, are different. So when a client tells me the scope or tells me what they're looking for, I feel like my perspective is a little, thinking outside the box,
Yeah.
Even after so many years living in America. So then I had to move to Los Angeles because my husband was finishing up his education here. And while we were moving, I still had several projects in Modesto, many projects. I was going back and forth, and almost every other weekend, I was, trying to coordinate every other week, actually, coordinate a couple days here, a couple days there, and doing that. And then I sat down and I was like, okay, we have the internet. Listen up, Dani. Let's make this work so you're not traveling. Why should you travel all the way to Modesto? It's a 4.5, 5 hours drive to figure out grout lines, the color of the grout, the thickness, or whatever it is. You know exactly how it's going to be looking like. You have the vision in your mind. So why not prepare it ahead and just communicate to your clients and to whoever is building it? So I started to do that. And that was 2018. And I started to, understand that I could expedite that. I could prepare my projects that even if they are for interior design and take it soft finishes or hard finishes. So, furniture or tile. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I wanted it to look like. And I just figured out a system to make it work. So even before the pandemic, I was already doing this. And I was trying to deliver a project that was complete to the point where, I was choosing not only the faucets or, the plumbing fixtures, but I was also recommending the valves that go with it, you know? So, so that I could deliver the project to the builder and, well, first of all, to my client and to the builder as complete as possible. So when it was time to start construction, they would just have the manual in front of them. So there wouldn't be the need of, oh, what color would be the grout? Or, you know, this, should I put this to the left or to the right? Or how high, you know? So I started to make my projects even more precise and technical, not only interior design, but more architectural than anything.
And we're way ahead of the curve too, because, you know, 2020 shows up and remote design is now kind of an extension of everyone's design firm, I feel like.
Yeah.
So how do you feel from 2018 to now? What has grown in that remote process? And, you know, I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, the VIP group that you created and, you know, all the different amenities that you offer your clients.
Yeah. So what changed from there to now in my firm, you mean?
Yeah, in your firm.
I feel like my projects got even more detailed. Now, you know, you learn from experience. You know, after so many projects, I was counting the projects, and I have over 60 projects in the last 4 years. So every project, I'm a little more, I pay a bit more attention to the detail, because this is how it should be. Because I want my clients to get a very complete package that they can just go on themselves, and there is no babysitting needed. You know, that's what I always tell my client. This is a project that you're going to give to your builder, and you won't be needing to babysit, and just trust that everything is here. Of course, questions come up. This is construction. It's not science. You know, it's science to some point, but it's not precise. But you know, I want it to be as clear as possible. And it's been great. I've been designing so many fun projects, and it opened up the doors to me so much, where now I have projects on the East Coast. I have projects here in California. I have projects in Texas. I have projects all over. And all because of that. And the fun thing about it is that you're not tied to a look specific to the area that you live in. You get to get a good quality design from Los Angeles. And I know I don't show it on my social media all the time, but I'm always scavenging. I'm always looking for new. I'm always visiting showrooms. I'm always with reps. I'm always looking for what's out there and what's new and innovative. So you get to get that quality no matter where you at, you know, and it's been amazing. So speaking a little bit about your design collab, which is my baby, I'm super excited about it. It's a community that we launched last year, and it kind of came from my own experience as a designer who can't afford an interior designer. I always tell my colleagues, you know, like, dude, could you pay this fee if this was for you? I know I couldn't. You know, I have 2 little ones. I have so many things that I need to take care of, and financially, things that, you know how it is, life.
Yeah, it's life.
Yeah. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think I could afford myself at the moment, but what if, but I know what to do, but I know that there are other people out there that are in the same situation. They can't afford to pay for an interior designer, but they have questions here and there that would be fun to know the answers, so they can live in a better space, so they can dwell in a better environment. And that's why I created Your Design Collab. So pretty much it's like it's a community on Facebook where you pay $27 a month. Highlight that, $27 a month. It's nothing, you guys. Like, for the amount of stuff that you get. And whenever you have an interior design related question, you just go over there, take a picture. Let's say, this shelf right here. Dani, I don't know what to put in it. How should I style it? What is wrong here? Or, oh my gosh, I'm remodeling my bathroom. I have everything figured out, but I don't know the tile to use. Or, I don't know, I need a new bed. Do you have recommendations? And what size rug should I use? Or I had one of our members, she bought like a total builder's grade home and she wanted to change it all up. I'm like, change the plumbing, the fixtures, the hardware, and put a wallpaper. It's going to be another thing. Done deal. It's amazing. Or paint color suggestions. Whatever you need, I'm there for you. You post it on the group. I'll answer your questions. And also every single month, we do a super cool poll where we choose together a room that I'll be designing. So we've done entryway, we've done guest bathroom revamp, we've done new kitchenware, the things that you want to get, but you're like, oh, I don't know if this goes with that. So I put together a design board, and then you can shop from the design board. And also, if you're a member, this is also super cool. You get 30% off every single one of my services. So if you are ready to redesign your entire house, you hire me, of course, and then you get 30% off my services and all my fees, which is
I love that. That's so creative. And because that's the toughest part is usually someone remodels a kitchen, remodels a bathroom, remodels a full home that they move into. And that's the last remodel they do, right? Mm-hmm. For a significant amount of time. So the way you can kind of almost have a subscription-based model to build a community, still bring value to the people you want to serve, but also, one, make money at it, two, it makes a lot of sense. That's really smart. I like that.
Thanks. Yeah, and I thought about the person because you see, some people, they know what to do. They have that good eye. They know, oh, this walnut cabinetry will look really good with this quartzite stone here on the counter. But I don't know about the backsplash. So I can help them with that, So I'm like, okay, so you want to do the walnut with the quartzite. What about this backsplash here? Or don't do a backsplash. Or maybe not the quartzite, that person that, like, you ask my opinion, you're going to get my opinion. It's like my husband says, I have no filter. So it's great. It's been great. It's been fun. I think my members are enjoying it. And just so I tell everyone, I don't open the doors. The doors are not open right now. Doors don't open all the time. They open only 4 times a year because I want to keep this as VIP as possible. It really is a VIP experience. And I'm going to be opening doors again now in May. So about middle of May, go back and
are you sure you didn't get a bachelor's in marketing or business administration or anything like that? Because you're saying some things here and I'm running through. I'm like, this is like, she's lining up a lot of different things here. Scarcity, exclusiveness, very high value proposition, having a designer at beck and call in a Facebook group that's private. Like, you have a really intriguing little setup here.
Thank you. Well, I'm always, looking at like some UC Berkeley extensions and also UCLA extensions in marketing, because I think marketing is fascinating. It's amazing. And I also get a little help from my friends. So, so I am also part of a really cool membership that doesn't give away, it's like a mentoring called Your Social Team. And Manu, who is the owner of Your Social Team, she actually helped me, understand that that membership thing. It was a conversation that we had back and forth and just talking about it. And she was my client. She's in Atlanta, Georgia. I designed her a part of her house and also her office. And, we became friends, and she helped me explore all of this. But I also find marketing fascinating. And if it wasn't for marketing and understanding how to present myself, I would never be here. I would never be talking to you. I would never be, the owner of Dani Boyd Design. It just is, it's a tool that we all should take advantage of. And we're here, I'm here to serve my clients. I'm here to bring good design. And like you said, I'm down to earth. I know how things cost. I don't live in the fantasy world. I know how hard it is to make a living. And oh my gosh, I'm in Los Angeles. This place is expensive. But because of that, I know that I have to sell. I know that I have to propose things, and I know what I'm selling. I'm selling quality. I'm selling luxury in an accessible way. So
the best way to make a sale is to solve a problem, right? And exactly. You solve a lot of problems. And I wanted to bring up something you brought up about your past with that customer experience that you did, the survey or the market study, whatever it was, down towards Argentina. Tell me a little bit about that. And how has that played into your influence and how you treat your customers today?
Yeah, so that helped me absolutely. Oh my gosh, this is a great question that you have for me, because it's something that I'm working on at the moment. So I had the best opportunity to start understanding marketing then. It wasn't marketing for sale. It was marketing for understanding the client satisfaction. So understand, why do they like the kitchen? Why do they don't like the kitchen? Why is this window too big? Why shouldn't we have a window here? So it was on that matter. So the whole, it was a survey. So it was a research with low-income families from Brazil that received homes made by the government instead of the homes that they had previously, which, it wasn't in a good shape. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to understand how much they liked it or not. And all of that made me understand so much about the client, the customer, the person who is buying from me, and the person who I am designing to, because sometimes, we don't take those things into consideration. Let's say in the kitchen, sometimes we design this beautiful spotless place, but we forget that this is a kitchen where spaghetti is going to be made and stain would be on the counter. Or this is a living room where dogs are going to be climbing on the couch. So let's maybe put leather here, because that's going to give longevity to the most expensive piece of your living room, your couch. So that made me understand all of that. And the reason why I like this question so much is because I am doing an extension course. I'm going to start this week. I'm late. Oh my gosh. I was supposed to start beginning of March, but it didn't happen. It's in architecture and psychology. So really dwell, how to say it, Ryan? Dwell. Yeah, really go deep into how you can apply psychology into architecture, into interior design. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm sure I'm going to be sharing on my social media what I've been learning, because I think it's incredible knowledge. I'm doing it with a university in Brazil, and I'm doing the course with this university in Brazil, and it's been great to have that platform to go forward with my education and understand something that I've been, trying to understand on my own for a long, long time. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
That's huge. That sounds exciting. And I'd be interested to see what you learn from that. I'm a big thing about, at least in marketing to our like ideal customers, the psychographics, like the reasons behind the why that people have, and identifying those and getting in front of that person that aligns with the right psychographics that our brand has a value proposition for, essentially. And so it's so much like marketing and psychology are really like the best marketers that I've read about or know really understand the human condition, right? And they understand human behavior, the intent behind what those people are doing and why they're doing it that might not even be aware of the person doing it. So yeah, the more you can learn about that, that's huge. I have a couple books. There's a good book I think you would like called Unthinkable. It's like getting into the minds of a bunch of different people throughout the world and their different cultural differences. And it was a pretty good book. That's not related to design or construction at all, but.
No, yeah. But, I'm writing down Unthinkable.
Unthinkable. Actually, I have it right here.
Oh, I want to see.
This one right here. Yeah. It's by Helen Thomas, and An Extraordinary Journey Through the World's Strangest Brains. So like,
I like it.
It's really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, it's I think it's important, because it gives you perspective, not only in the workspace, but in your general life. Because, you understand that we're all different. We all think differently. We all live differently. And that's okay. That's beautiful, actually. If we were all the same, this world would be lame and boring. And
I know,
I'm not here for that.
So another one, this one's really good. Never Split the Difference.
Okay.
It's about an FBI hostage negotiator. It's like in high tense situations and like the psychology behind really negotiation and influence. That was a really good one too. And I bought this mostly for like the sales side, because it does have a lot of like overlapping concepts of like when you're essentially sales is negotiation, right?
Yeah.
And it's really getting to people how they perceive value and speaking to them how they need to be spoken to, right?
Yeah. And I think that it's very important to do that, not losing who you are, It's not like you're going to change who you are to speak to person A and then go ahead and change who you are to speak to person B. And this is something that I actually always say on my projects, like I can adapt to this type of aesthetics that you are looking for, but there will always have my handwriting in it. And I can't change that,
Yeah.
So this is very important to understand other people, but understand also who you are as a professional, as a designer, as a person, as a human being, and not change
just in communication. Yeah. I'm a big thing about, it's not what you're saying that should be consistent. Like who you are should be consistent in everything you do, whether that's professional life, spiritual life, personal life, family, whatever it may be. But a lot of times it's how you say it to who you're speaking to, so it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that's kind of a big thing that I tell my kids and employees.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, Ryan, let me tell you, I'm still working on that. I'm still like kid level when it comes to that. Because I feel also that there's a little bit of a cultural and language barrier when it comes to that, because I know the words that I know, and I'm always looking for new words, and I'm always trying to educate myself. But in the time of conflict, I'm going to say what I need to say. And sometimes it sounds so rude. And then I need to be like, listen. It's not like that. It's just that I can't say it differently.
Just as bluntly as I can put it. Here it is.
Yes, but it's not like I wanted to say like that. It's just that this is what I know. I'm so sorry. Maybe I'll write it down and edit and send it to you.
You should just, speak Portuguese into Google Translate, and then let that be the hard talk for you.
Yeah. But then it will be different. It would be as hard as it is, because, it's the way I always tell everyone that, okay, like talking about being yourself, I feel like I am Dani in Portuguese and Dani in English. it's not the same. There is, you know, when it comes to communication, okay, when it comes to like inside myself, I'm the same person, but you know, like the way I communicate is different when I communicate in English and then versus when I communicate in Portuguese, but it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I love it makes it more authentic. And I was thinking while you were talking earlier about the influences you've had just growing up in South America and the different concepts and honestly, the different space planning that's needed just to live in that different type of culture. And then bringing that to America, I'm sure the insights that you have on your projects, I'm sure when you first came on the scene, people were like, I would have never thought of that. Right. And how would they? Because they never lived through what, you know, the upbringing that you went through in Brazil and all the influence that you got from that. So I think it's really cool that, I mean, you really are genuinely authentic, you know, in your culture and in your design. And every time I've spoken to you, it's always been, you know, really pleasurable.
Ah, that's so nice of you to say that. Thank you so much.
Of course. So with design, with customer experience, and last question here, what do you think as a whole the industry is missing as far as customer experience goes? What's one thing that if you were starting over, it'd be the first thing you would implement into your process to take care of a customer? Oh,
it's what I'm working on right now with this, this extension course that I'm going to start. I really, really, really want to come up with a tool of questions. And people don't copy me, okay? This is something that I want to do and be very original about.
We'll blurt out. Yeah.
You can talk about it, you know, email me. I'm all about collaborating and doing stuff like that. But what I really want to do is come up with a group of questions, a guideline that is very precise of each one of my projects. So right now I already do it. I have some things that I always ask each one of my clients that guide me, but I want to do it in depth. I want to do it more specific. I want to have specific questions for specific types of projects. So let's say it's a commercial project. I want to know the hours of operation. I want to know you know, how much it's going to be serving, how much the menu is going to cost plus or minus. I want to know all of that, you know, the things that are not exactly related to construction, but will help me give a guide, like will help me give me a north to my project. So that's something that I am like, I really am excited to work on right now, and I think this is going to help me a lot. And also I want to expand. I want to start hiring. So I think that if I have a tool like that, it will be easier for me to actually proceed with the project in a more efficient way. So all I'm looking for is efficiency in system, creating a system. So when I start hiring, people know exactly what to do and exactly where to get the answers from the questions they are looking for. So I want to have the questions figured out before they come up and have my client answer those. So don't copy me, people. This is something that I'm still working on. It's still like in my brain. Yeah. I think
that's a great idea. Yeah, it's very smart. We did something similar. So like we have an intake form, you know, that kind of gets all down to the nitty gritty of really the context of the project. Really for us, it's the why, you know, like we did a kitchen remodel, and her biggest issue was that she didn't have a trash can in her kitchen that was like integrated into the cabinetry. A simple Rev-A-Shelf attachment into a modification of a door could have been done, right? But it turned into, you know, this $160,000, you know, custom kitchen, and all because of the trash pull out. And in my mind, I'm like, that's great, right? I love those projects. They really, really want this. It's not a need type thing, but understanding the customer in this really the conditions around the project, especially in commercial. It does make sense because you don't want to design, you know, a Nobu steakhouse for someone that's going to be serving cheeseburgers, you know,
exactly.
It wouldn't match up.
Yeah, exactly. And it comes to that, really, Ryan. We're offering, well, you guys have the product, but it's the service. I think it's the service that matters more. You know, how am I serving my client? How am I delivering what they're looking for? Exactly what they're looking for. Not what I think would be what they're looking for, but exactly what they're looking for. Because I still can't read people's minds. I wish I could, but it's good to have that, you know, I just want to have that guideline to understand my client better, to serve my client better. Something similar like as the guideline that you have, and I would love to see it.
I can send it to you. Yeah, I'll send it over. You can look at it. Cool. It's like 15 questions that we ask.
Yeah, it's something like that I want to come up with, and then going more into the psychological. You know, of course, we have to know the budget. It's a real world we live in. We have to know the size of the project. We have to know several things, but it's the feeling. You know,
the driving force behind it.
Exactly. Yeah. The psychological part of it. What will bring you the extreme satisfaction, which, I mean, will not be obtained, I think. It'll never be possible.
Well, and that's the other thing too, like with people, I think on our last podcast, we talked with a contractor and we talked about how people view our industry as kind of a commodity, right? Like design, you're going to get the same thing every single time, no matter who you go through, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Same thing with construction. It's a general contractor. They're going to put this together. They're in like, it's going to be the same no matter who I go with. So it's kind of what you're talking about is making yourself proprietary through extreme value. Because if you have the driving force behind someone's buying decision and you can use that in your language, in your design influence, in how you take care of that customer and communicate with them, everything, you're going to be heads and shoulders apart from someone who is just, you know, checking boxes and throwing out a rendering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there's that too, you know, the rendering could be beautiful. You know, the proposal could be fantastic, but if it doesn't suit you, if it's not what you're looking for, if it's not what your family needs, what your customer needs, it's not a good design. Sorry. It's just not. It's true. Yeah. And also, like, yeah.
That could be a snowball.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, we can cut it up right there. I really appreciate your time, Dani. Thanks for taking this hour talking with me. And I'm excited to just keep in touch in the future. And I wish you all the best in your further education and in your business.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to spend this hour with you. And for sure, let's be in touch. Very soon.
Let's do it. All right. See ya.
All right. Bye.